Hey everybody. Got a fun topic today. It's going to bring me a lot of joy anyway. And that is the Open is coming up. The CrossFit Games Open for, geez, what'll it be, 2021, as crazy as that is. And so, anytime that the Open is around the corner, we get the same sort of questions, and I always enjoy answering them. So, the questions which will be answered today is the general topic of Open prep, prepping for the Open. What does that mean? How will we do it? Will we do it? And then part two is, will the 2021 CrossFit Games Open workouts be worked into the weekly programming for Linchpin? So I've got some answers for that. We'll have a nice little chat about it, but I'll give you the answers right now. Open prep. There's no special open prep. I think it's borderline silly. I'll discuss why in a second. Will the CrossFit Games open workouts be worked into the weekly programming for Linchpin? No. And I'll tell you why in a second. I have reasons for all these things, of course. And that's not to say that I don't think you should do the Open. I think you should do the Open. I will be doing the Open, but I will not pencil off a particular day for it. So, okay. So let's have some fun. Let's dive in, shall we? Open prep. Why does that term just give me heartburn? So the CrossFit Games Open, if we take a step back and we figure out what is the purpose of the CrossFit Games Open, it is CrossFit's largest event of the year. From a participatory standpoint, it's its highest participatory event. And so if you want to have the highest level of participation possible, you can't set the barrier to entry profoundly high, or most people aren't even going to show up. If they're like, well, I can't even do that, that's ridiculous, etc., etc. So right from the get-go, to accomplish its goals, it's very welcoming. Hence, it is the Open. It is open to everybody. The purpose of the Open is to cast a very wide net. Get as many people through the door as you can, because it's kind of two-part, right? For most of us that aren't, professional games athletes, it's this big event that we enjoy throwing down each year with our buddies all across the globe and seeing where you shake out on the leaderboard and getting those butterflies in your stomach, and a little bit of competition spices things up and pushes people to new heights or new achievements, or they set a PR, or they learn something about themselves. All kinds of great stuff that happens. And so people enjoy the Open. And that's how most of us, the overwhelming majority of the people who sign up, will fall into that camp, whether they realize it or not, or whether they admit it to themselves or not. And then there's a very, very teeny, tiny, small slice of the pie that show up, which are your actual crazy, amazingly competent athletes. And the Open for them, it's not so much fun, it's time to go to work. And it's time to start their competitive season as the first leg of the journey to pre-screen who are potentially the fittest people on Earth. And so it's a different experience depending upon which camp you fall in. The interesting thing about the Open is the very same workouts have to serve both of those camps. So the very same workout that most of us normal folks will be doing and find challenging will also be done by the fittest people in the world and have to be challenging and tough and shake out in a way that the leaderboard is representative of who should advance to the next selection process and whatnot. So there's a lot going on with the very simple Open workouts that just get posted every week. And since it has to be this large net, since it is the highest participatory event of the year, and everybody has to be able to play, well, here's the thing. The CrossFit Open is, out of any event that happens all year long, about as pure quintessential CrossFit as you're going to get. Just constantly varied functional movements at high intensity, most of the time in things that aren't crazy. There might be something that's thrown in on occasion which has some novelty to it, but in general, you're going to see loadings that you're somewhat familiar with, movements that you're somewhat familiar with, or very familiar with, I should say, time domains. You're going to see chippers and couplets and triplets and AMRAPs and things like that. But they will be constructed in a way that's challenging and fun for all of us, but will give the best of the best an opportunity to separate themselves, either with the time they put up, if it's a for time workout, how many rounds they get, if it's an AMRAP, or, it could be a chipper, and as the chipper goes on, the loading gets heavier later on in the chipper as it does compared to chipper for the best athletes in the world. So, and we see that regularly when, the chipper gets harder as the workout goes on. So all these things can be done, but we're all playing together. And so, if you don't believe me, I called up some of the events because I think it paints a really interesting comparison. So let's take a look at the Open last year. So the Open was 5 weeks, 5 events, and event number 1 was 10 rounds for time of 8 ground overhead. So most people probably did that as a power snatch. You could clean and jerk it if you wanted to. 8 ground overhead and 10 bar facing burpees. 10 rounds of that. 95 pounds for the men, 65 pounds for the women. So workout number 1, we're talking power snatches with 95 pounds and 65 pounds and bar facing burpees. That's just pure CrossFit right there, right? Nothing should throw you for a loop. It's going to sting and it's going to hurt, and in that simple workout there's enough volume, 10 rounds for time, that the people who we will eventually be watching compete one day at the games will pull so far ahead of the general population that it will be able to pre-screen them, even though we're all doing the same workout. That's why they are full-time, dedicated, sponsored athletes that do nothing around the clock but manipulate their life to optimize their work capacity across broad time modal domains, and the rest of us are dealing with, you probably have full-time jobs and you got to get the kids to soccer practice and etc., and you sneak in to work out when you can, and oh well, you had too many brownies this week and you feel it a little bit. That's where most of us regular people live. We can do that workout, but we just won't do it anywhere near as fast as, Pat Vellner. So that was week 1. Week 2, what was in store? We had a 20-minute AMRAP of 4 dumbbell thrusters, 6 toes to bar, and 24 double unders. Pair of 50-pound dumbbells for the men, pair of 35s for the women. Just 3 movements, triplets set up in an AMRAP format. 4 thrusters, 6 toes to bar, 24 double unders. Beautiful, simple, effective, and in my humble opinion, nothing that you need to prep for if you've just been doing CrossFit all year long. We're just going to do some more CrossFit and you're going to be good to go. And it's just 1 workout a week, right? It's not, now, you may have some people who get a little crazy, a little off the rails, and aren't happy with their time or score and do the same workout 5 times in a week or 5 times over the course of a couple days. So for those wonderful, beautiful, dedicated, obsessive lunatics, maybe they should be working a couple 2-a-days because they're going to let their open workout score get into their head and do it 28 times. So that's a different tale. Week 3. All right, week 3 was kind of one of those chippers that I spoke about where the chipper goes on, and the loading increases, and of course you're more fatigued at the end of the workout compared to the beginning of the workout, so there's quite a test involved there. There's some skills thrown in while you're fatigued, and the time cap is profoundly aggressive for us regular individuals, and something that the best of the best will be able to achieve pre-screen, and they'll be good to go. So week 3 had a 21-15-9. Basically, you're doing Diane. 21-15-9 of a deadlift, 225 or 155, paired with a handstand push-up. And the very second that you finished that, the workout wasn't over, it continued. and then you did 21:15.9, but the deadlifts went up to 315 pounds for men, thanks for nothing, right? You just done 45 deadlifts at the other weight. And now, after each set of deadlift, instead of the handstand push-up, you had a 50-foot handstand walk. So regular Diane is plenty challenging for those of us just looking to live our life, but this workout's going to go ahead and throw a great challenge in for most of us. We'll get as far as we can, and then we'll watch the best of the best continue to pull 315-pound deadlifts and walk on their hands. So once again, the same workout's going to be able to pre-screen for everybody, and people who are, even quite capable, competent athletes, but not, pursuing the games with all the fervor and every bit of enthusiasm in their life, might have broken into that heavier barbell and got themselves in a handstand walk, and that's fantastic. And if that occurs, well, then you've kind of got yourself a heavy day at a high heart rate, is what we would call that at CrossFit Linchpin. As a matter of fact, today's workout, the 24th of November, is basically a heavy day at a high heart rate, where you've got sets of 100 double unders, big sets of knees to elbows, paired with a heavy back squat, where you're going to be lifting heavy weight, and you're still going to have to be able to do other movements while your heart rate's jacked up and you're moving a big load. So, but again, I consider that classic CrossFit, quite frankly. So we're 3 weeks in, and I see no need for open prep. I see the need to do CrossFit all year long. Don't cherry pick, work your weaknesses, get some sleep, take care of your diet, do a good warm-up, and just play in the open. Just have a good time in the open. Week 4, another chipper. This one has a bunch of box jumps, clean and jerks, and then some pistols, some single-legged squats. So the box jumps continue on. The clean and jerks, every time a new set of clean and jerks come up, it gets heavier. So again, as the workout goes on, the loading increases, you're already fatigued. Now the barbell's going up, and it starts at a 95-pound barbell, goes to 135, 185, 225, 275, 315. The repetitions go down as the loading goes up, and you've got some single leg squats and pistols thrown in there. So you've got box jumps also. So you've got box jumps and pistols. A lot of lower body, explosive glutes, hamstrings, below parallel happening. Nothing about that is going to make the clean and jerks any easier, to try to get those hips open and get that bar to the front rack position and then overhead. So there's some intentional interference thrown in there as well, and there's just no doubt about it. The workout starts off with 30 box jumps, then the first clean and jerk loading is 95 pounds, and again, everybody can play. Everybody can play. Then you do some more box jumps. It goes up to 135 for the clean and jerk. Still loading that everybody can play. But little by little, you're going to start to see the best of the best pull away, and that's how it should be, and that's okay. And then final week of the competition, final week of the CrossFit Games Open. This was a for time workout that you could partition in any way you want, so that means you could chop it up, mix up the reps as long as you want. You just have to do all the work. There's a 20-minute time cap. 40 ring muscle-ups had to get accomplished in one way, shape, or form. 80 calories of rowing, and 120 wall balls. So once again, wall balls, rowing, and muscle-ups. Nothing that we've mentioned is that crazy. It's just classic CrossFit, is movements that you're aware of. The clean and jerk got super heavy, right? But that's why you have 7x1 clean and jerk days, 5x5 clean and jerk days. That's why you work your power clean, your deadlift, your back squat. You have dedicated heavy days, and then that's why you also have, like I mentioned, at Linchpin, we do heavy days at a high heart rate. So you're used to moving and loading while you're under fatigue, and you're good to go, and you're doing wall balls and muscle ups and all this just kind of normal CrossFit stuff, and you're doing short workouts and 20-minute AMRAPs and all that stuff. So there's nothing crazy that, even historically, as I look over the open, I say, we've got to do some dedicated open prep. I think that's potentially either some clever marketing that just plays well to the consumer, if you will, it's clickbait, or there's, of course, the potential for having an honest conversation between friends, right? I like to think that we're friends. If you haven't been doing CrossFit most of the year, because you have been biasing your training in any way, shape, or form, be it intentionally or not intentionally. You intentionally have an Olympic lifting bias, intentionally have a heavy bias, intentionally have a powerlifting bias. I was going to say intentionally have a sprinting bias, but I don't know of any human being that intentionally has a sprinting bias. If you do, God bless you. I think you're fantastic. Now, if you have had a specific bias, well, that means you haven't been trying to improve your work capacity across broad time and modal domains. That you've picked a slice of that pie, and that slice of your pie has gotten most of your focus. Well, then, yes, if you do want to throw down in the open and do relatively well, it's time to do some quote unquote open prep, aka time to do some CrossFit. But if you've been doing CrossFit most of the year, when the open comes around, it's just time to do the open. And life's good. You're good to go. Now let's look at the game. So that we just walked through the open events. Again, movements that you're used to, loadings that you're used to, rep ranges that you're used to. It's all good. It's all good. The games, or potentially during a sanctioned event, that's when you see some stuff that, you may need some dedicated prep for. We had swimming stuff this year at the games where, there was swim sprint intervals, or the sled event where there was sprinting and sled pushing out there. The bike repeater where you're out on, 440 meter bike sprint paired with a legless rope climb, things like that. Those events post the open is where you're most likely going to see some of the bit more novel, bit more, I don't know, unusual is not the word, but outside the realm of what we typically see in the workout of the day. And you, of course, will see things that also fall under the bucket of the open of the workout of the day at sanctioned event and the games, etc., etc. But that's also where, they can pull out darn near whatever they want, but you don't have to worry about that with the open. You just got to do your workout of the day, get some good sleep, and have fun. And then the second part of the question is, okay, will the open workouts be, programmed as the workout of the day for Linchpin? So let's say that they're posted and Thursday is the day. Well, every Thursday or Friday, whatever it is. And the answer is no. I'm so sorry. The answer is no because, so many people have so many different schedules that some people like to do them the very night that they come out. Those people will be happy if I post it the night that they come out, unhappy if it's the next day. A lot of people are going to do it the next day. Well, what if it just doesn't work out with your life, your family, your kids, your schedule, whatever it happens to be, and you like to do it on the weekend because all your friends get together Friday night lights, right? And then you want to post it Friday, or no, Friday doesn't work for me. We're going to do it on the weekend. Can't make everybody happy. So the other very difficult part, and almost supersedes that reason that I just said right there, is I have to prepare the programming for the week at least a couple of weeks in advance, lay everything out. It takes a tremendous amount of time to set all that up with the warm-ups and the accessory and the limited equipment option and the scale versions and the goal times, and all of that can't be just haphazardly thrown together because I have to wait and see what the open workout is posted, and that dictates everything for the rest. It just doesn't work that way. And since there's no knowing what the open workout's going to be, there's no way to keep the day before it free of any interference from whatever the open workout will be. I mean, if we look back to last year, what was that the first workout was, ground overhead and bar facing burpees, 95-65. I mean, how do you know we didn't snatch that day? How do you know we didn't do a bunch of burpees? How do you know whatever it happens to be? You could have done something that just nailed the very similar stimulus, a muscle group, and then you're like, oh man, that's very similar to the open workout. So there's just no way to work it in beautifully. So here's what I recommend everybody does. First of all, the open's a blast. I do think you should throw down in it. I'm going to throw down in it. Use the beautiful features of the Beyond the Whiteboard app, which the Linchpin Private Track is hosted on, you can look forward for the whole week and plan out your week and see, is there a day based upon your life and your schedule that you want to move around, to shift, to take as a rest day, to do whatever because when you plan on doing the open workout with your friends, and then each individual user can make the best decision that works well for their life. And if you want to do the open workout once, twice, or whatever it happens to be, you'll be able to do that as well, and life will be good. So hopefully that helps answer some very common questions. I hope everybody has been enjoying and doing just some CrossFit all year long. And we'll throw down in the open. We'll have a blast. I'll be right there with you. And don't be afraid to scale. You can have a lot of fun in the scale division. Scaling is cool, and I will undoubtedly embrace multiple scaled workouts. So that's it. Have a great day, and we'll talk soon.